But the next item on the agenda was future agenda items and action item review. So let me just remind everybody of the schedule that we have adopted. It's posted on the website. But right now, the schedule that we have adopted for the meetings is Friday, March 25th, and that I believe is going to be in Olympia, correct? No, I'm talking about upcoming meetings of the ETHOS.
That is in Seattle.
March 25th is going to be in Seattle?
Correct.
March 5th. Oh, what am I looking at?
Oh, I'm sorry, you said March 25th.
So Friday, March 5th is the next one. And then I think we have a second one in March, don't we?
Mm-hmm. And these are all posted on the WSBA website.
I think I printed off the website, but there might be a typo.
Might be a typo. So, yes. So, do we have one on March 25th also?
Let me look at my own notes here.
I believe that's correct.
Yeah, I see Saturday, March 5th is the next one.
That's going to be in Seattle.
Yep. And then the one after that is Friday, March 25th. And I believe that is also going to be in Seattle.
Okay. And the next one I see is Saturday, April 23rd. Is that right?
Yes.
Where's that going to be?
Also in Seattle. I think these are all planned for Seattle, with the exception is there 1B1 in May in Spokane, but I think the rest are planned for Seattle.
So we got one set for Saturday, May 21st in Spokane.
Correct.
And then Saturday, June 18th, Seattle.
Yes.
Is by chance the July 23rd date in Tacoma?
Right now it says Seattle.
We have a bar meeting in Tacoma in July, but maybe it's a different week.
Yeah, it's the week prior.
Oh, never mind then. So July 23rd, Seattle, and then Saturday, August 18th in Seattle. That's the current schedule. Does anybody want me to repeat that? And we'll get the website updated to make sure that we have all the dates that are going to be on there, and possibly we'll have the locations as well.
President Thompson, did you say the 18th of August or the 13th of August?
I've got August 18th here on the current website. So if that's not correct,
that should be the 18th.
Yeah, that appears to be a typo.
The 13th, yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to go through this list again and let's double check and make sure I got everything correct. So when we update the website, it's correct. The next one's going to be March 5th, Seattle.
Correct.
March 25th, Seattle.
Correct.
April 23rd, Seattle.
Correct.
May 21st, Spokane.
Correct.
June 18th, Seattle.
Correct.
July 23rd, Seattle.
Correct.
And August 13th, Seattle.
Correct.
Okay. And we do have kind of like a tentative agenda for each one of these. And I don't know if we want to go over that now today, but we do have a tentative agenda for each one of these. But I thought at least we could probably go over the one that we're going to be doing on March 5th, if possible, to talk about that one. And right now, the tentative agenda for that one is we're going to start out with getting some knowledge from our the finance department of our bar association about how the bar association is funded. I think that would be really a good discussion. I know that when Mary Fairhurst, former Chief Justice Fairhurst, structures work group, they got quite a bit of information about funding. One thing we might, there we go. So that we're going to get that information. Then General Counsel Shanklin's going to tell us about the Keller deduction and what is germane, right? Did you know that?
One meeting at a time.
Yeah, and then we're going to have Chief Disciplinary Counsel Andy back telling us a little bit more about the regulatory function of the Bar Association. And then I believe our Chief Advancement Officer, Kevin Plachy, and leaders from different sections are going to talk about the history and composition of the Bar Association sections. Who are the sections, the funding of the sections, the historical tensions between the sections and the Washington State Bar Association, and staffing and administration by the Bar Association of the sections. And then after the lunch break, we were going to talk about the Supreme Court boards. Who are the Supreme Court boards, the funding of the boards, the historical tension between the boards and the Bar Association, and the staffing and administration by the Bar Association of those Supreme Court boards. So that was going to be led by our executive director, Tara Nevitt, and representatives from the different boards. And then again, we were going to have another comment from the public and the membership in general section, and hopefully we'll have more people wanting to speak up about that. And then we were going to have another session for governors to ask questions, make comments, and have discussion. And then we go into looking at future agendas after that. But I thought we should probably just take these one at a time so that we don't get ahead of ourselves. We will have to do some scheduling in the future because we're going to have some folks coming from out of state, either in person or via Zoom. The next session after the one after March 5th, the one for March 25th, for example, hopefully we're going to be talking to a lot of different state bar representatives from Oregon, Idaho, Alaska, Nebraska, California, possibly Louisiana, Texas, to give us some feedback about their experiences. Certainly, I think most of us will be very, very interested in getting an update about what's going on in the litigation in Oregon. We'll learn about the Nebraska State Bar and how they voluntarily, the Supreme Court there voluntarily broke them up into, and how that happened. And hopefully we'll get some input from the folks down in California who, through legislation with, well, I think it was a legislative deal with the state legislature to break their integrated bar up into, and then maybe hopefully we'll hear from the Louisiana State Bar Association and the State Bar of Texas. And by the end of March, maybe we'll know whether cert's going to get granted or not granted, or is that too ambitious? No knowing. Yeah, okay. So that's going to be a real good session, I think, in terms of getting information from all these different bar associations around the country that have had experiences with litigation and just their own voluntary decisions to do something different than have an integrated bar. Anybody want to go through the rest of the agendas, or is that far enough? So you do. Okay.
I just want to make a comment.
Okay.
You mentioned the Oregon State Bar and its litigation.
Yeah.
From my discussions with them, I think they'll be hesitant about talking too much because it's a pending case. But as we saw when we went down to Oregon and met with the members of their board of governors, they are interested in working with us. And so I'm sure that they can discuss when we have them scheduled and they come and talk. They'll be happy to talk with us about some of their views, but they'll have to be somewhat circumspect with their litigation for obvious reasons.
And I imagine that's going to be the way with Louisiana and Texas and any of these other pending cases too. But to the extent that we can get some, insight that they feel, doesn't impact the status of the litigation, that I think that would really be helpful. Much as they can share that they feel comfortable sharing, I think would be helpful. Okay, so everybody's got the list of meetings. We talked about the next one in some specifics. One after that with the other bar associations, that could be a moving agenda. In other words, that we're not so sure we're going to get everybody there that we want to get there. Some people may be like former President Shigetti said, reluctant to share. So we'll just work through that and see what we can do. Which is good. Okay, before we adjourn, are there things about future agenda items or action item review that folks would like to discuss? Governor Couch.
I can send people email for this information, but as we talk about people to listen to hear from in future agenda items, I wanted to note on February 24th at 11:30, there's a webinar from the National Conference of Bar Presidents, the ABA, and the Institute for the Advancement of the Legal System about bar associations and unified bars versus disunified bars with John Stewart, who is the former bar president of Florida, and Janet Welch, who is was executive director of the Michigan Bar, who I think should also be on our agenda at some point in time to hear from, as she's dealt with this quite a lot and has a lot of experience in this exact situation. So I'm happy to send information to anyone. I plan on listening in on this webinar. It's free. So thank you.
What's that date again?
February 24th at 11:30.
And how do you get access? You're going to email everybody?
I will send a link to everyone or just to Tara, and Tara can send it to everyone.
Sure, and maybe we can get it posted at the ETHOS website too. So that if people want to click on the link and get educated, that would be great. Any other future agenda items or action items that we'd like to discuss at this point? Anybody on the Zoom session? No. Am I missing any hands, Executive Director Nevitt? Okay. Well, this has been a very good session today. Really appreciate everybody attending both on the Zoom and here at the bar office in Seattle. Obviously, we're going to have more of these. You've heard the schedule. Very ambitious. Lots of information is going to be exchanged. At some point, of course, we'll go through the exercise of trying to formulate final recommendations. That's on the agenda for some of the later meetings, but I think it's premature to really get to that now. I think the whole set of proposed agendas, is that on the website or no? Well, it's on our Board of Governors meeting materials anyway. And so if somebody wants to look ahead, I think it's the January meeting that we had that's got that whole proposed schedule in it. And so you can look there and see where, and realize the dates on the proposed schedule are different, and just go through the pages and match up what we've done so far and what we plan to do with the dates that I announced here earlier. Oh, okay. We have Governor Stevens. Recognize the phone number now.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. So I had a question, and this is just looking down the road. Do we have a meeting or two that we've kind of dedicated to just hearing from our members? Did I
We do,
understand that
yes, we
correctly?
do. And right
And
now,
when is that?
well, let's see.
Well, that's okay. My only comment is, and I don't know, according to when that is, whether or not we will have come to a place where we'd be drafting approaches. But in any case, I would hope that at one of the meetings prior to that kind of open meeting, that we at least send out to all of the stakeholders that we'd like to hear from some questions that they can at least address their comments to, as opposed to just kind of an empty open form. So, I think it's better if we had a draft approach, but I could see the problems with that before we hear from them. But as opposed to just saying, well, what do you think? I mean, having direct questions that we'd like them to at least consider addressing, so that, you know, they come knowing what, you know, issues and things we want to hear from them about. So, and I don't know how that gets done. Maybe that's work that we can have the executive director and our chief communications officer help put together. But that's, you know, I just think we need more than just an empty canvas, but an actual, at least a few leading questions that can get people to really think about the things that at least we'd like to hear from them about. So that's my suggestion.
Thank you very much, Governor Stevens. What I see right now is that the April 23rd meeting was scheduled to be member and public input from leaders of the minority bar associations, from the bar association sections, from the Supreme Court boards. Again, we're going to always have on every one of these meetings a comment section for members of the public. And again, the legal aid, access to justice community, they were also going to be on the April 23rd agenda as it stands right now.
Yeah, there are two of those dates. Two of them are for the same full days of public. I don't know which two. Maybe Executive Director Nevitt can tell us which two.
Yeah, there should be two.
Well, at least whenever those are, like I said, I think we should at least have some questions that we'd like them to address. Not that they're limited to those questions, but just to help us, and they may need some help in knowing what are the things that we are wanting to hear from them about, and that help us with the task we have. So that's my suggestion.
And then possibly another, well, there's, I think like former President Schiketti said, we're always going to have a member and public input session at each and every one of these. But I think the other one that might be oriented towards public input is the July 23rd. That's the one I'm looking at right now. It looks pretty much like it's all member public input from different groups. So, but again, we'll put these tentative, well, like I said, these tentative agendas are available right now in our January Board of Governors meeting materials. And maybe we could just pull them out and say, you know, here's the tentative agenda for each one of the meetings, and put that on the ETHOS website too, so people can just realize that it's tentative at this point, because we don't know who's going to be able to make it and who's not going to be able to make it, and things like that, because, you know, things change sometimes very rapidly. So we'll try and keep that going and updated as much as we possibly can. Chief Advancement Officer Kevin Plachy has got his hand up.
Thank you, President Tomlinson.
Whoa, what's happening?
Okay, sorry, my mic was on. Sorry about that. I hope this question, I apologize for not asking this question earlier, but I hope that I can have just a little time to ask General Counsel Shanklin a question about the Texas case. And I have a lot of interest in this case, and it's one we talked about a lot, but when they remanded the case back to the lower court, they remanded it with a preliminary injunction preventing the bar from taking fees. I think the bar from requiring the plaintiffs to join or pay dues pending completion of the remedies phase. And do you know how, are they getting close to getting that resolved? I think it'd be helpful to understand what the remedies were and sort of how they handled it.
Yeah, I think it's still pending, and it's the injunction is only the plaintiffs, right? Not like
Not the whole bar. It's just the plaintiff's not,
Yeah.
okay.
And just pointing out in the chat, Governor Adewale asks, can we publicize these forums in the Bar News to ensure maximum member participation?
Yes, and I was just pinging Sarah, who of course logged off thinking we were done, but we've already got, this is on the website, we're putting it in Bar News, it's going out in the newsletter, so she and her team are definitely trying to get it out on every possible channel.
Better look in the chat and see if there are any other questions. Chief Advancement Officer Platchy, do you have another note? Just the hand just is up. Okay. Okay, I don't see any more hands up. The chair would be
President Collison, Kevin Fay put a question.
Oh, Kevin Fay. Hi. Welcome again.
Sorry if I'm not supposed to be here.
Oh, you are.
I'm sorry?
You are supposed to be here.
Oh, the notice in the Bar News would be a very good thing. A lot of our members are going to want to read these cases. It might be useful, instead of having them, it might be useful for them to have links in the website where you could click on and find them quickly.
Anything else, Kevin Fay?
No,
Like to
it was
share?
just
No,
a
that's it?
suggestion.
Okay, yeah.
You know, I mean, I've been pulling them up, and some of them are not easy to find.
Yes, I agree. They're not easy to find, especially that one Supreme Court case that our general counsel told us about. You have to make sure you type in Lucille to to find it at the Supreme Court docket. Rather interesting way of researching. Okay, anything else from anybody? No? Did I miss any hands? Any hands in the room? Not seeing any.
Brian,
Oh,
Mr. President, sorry. I
there
have,
there you are. Governor Higginson.
I'm just going to bring this up preliminarily, and maybe it would be better discussed at a later time. I just do not want there to be some inference that I waited until too late to ask this question. But it seems to me, as I've been looking over the materials and the potential witnesses or experts, speakers, etc., that we are not. We don't seem to be bringing in anyone who might be a potential proponent of a change to the current structure. It looks like, though I can't tell for sure, that the people who are lined up are those who would like to defend the status quo. And if our goal here is to explore if this is the best structure, and if not, if there are alternatives, it seems to me that we might want to be bringing in somebody from who's actually litigated some of these cases in front of the court. You know, the Goldwater Institute. They're, for example, people who know about Keller. In reading about this to prepare for today's meeting, though I wasn't able to attend some of it, it looked like the Supreme Court ruling, the Supreme Court left Keller alone in 2016 only because of the death of Justice Scalia, which kind of postponed their consideration of this. But it looks to me like we are missing a component that we should be having if we're going to hear varying viewpoints. And it's not really that helpful, I don't think, to anybody if we just have personal views that, gee, I like this structure the way it is. No, I think it should change. I have my own opinion about that, which I've mentioned a few times before. but I just want to bring that up now. And again, it may be something that I should flesh out more, but I would like to bring it up just so it can be noted if I bring it up again, or when I bring it up again, that I did not just wait until the last minute to bring it up. Though I have a feeling that as soon as I stop talking, someone is going to say I should have brought it up when we were talking at the January board meeting, but it wasn't until I really had a chance to sit down and read who was being listed as and find out more about their background that I realized that we pretty much are slanted towards one viewpoint, which is protecting the status quo. So I'll stop talking now, and I am sure I'll hear some really lovely comments after I've just said what I've said.
Well, I don't know if anybody else is going to make any comments. I'm just going to say that we are going to try and get representatives from California who did go through a breakup. It was I think it was a negotiated breakup, but it was a breakup. And so, and by the way, there are a couple of stories about the California experience at the ABA Journal website that you can probably get a hold of. And then of course, I think we're going to try and have somebody from Nebraska, where the Supreme Court of Nebraska basically said, we're breaking you up. Gave them just a short period of time to do it in too, which was kind of interesting. And then I know we could possibly, if we wanted to, reach out to some of the states that don't have integrated bars. I know that I have contacts in the state of Minnesota, which my understanding has never had an integrated bar association. And we could maybe reach out to some other people and see what their experiences are and get them here too. So anybody else have any comments or thoughts about that? That I'm sure we. And by the way, if you want more of the story about the pros and cons of integrated bars, the article that I penned for the forthcoming issue of the Bar News has a law review article from a Professor Levin, I think her name is, where she talks about these cases. It's a 2020 article, so it's a little older, but it's from the Georgetown Online Law Review. And that'll give you some background on how this has been going on for decades and decades and decades in one form or another, this whole debate. Okay, any other questions? Oh, yes, Chief Disciplinary Counsel Ende.
Thank you, President Tollefson. This conversation and actually Michael Cherry's question about the Supreme Court boards and whether there are analogies to that structure in other integrated bar associations has had me pondering. And I don't have a factual answer to Michael Cherry's question, although I think it's a good one. And that information could be researched and presented. But the point I'd like to make, and I don't want to leave anyone with a misimpression based on my presentation. If you think back to my opening slide, which was the map of the United States and divided into orange and green, with orange being integrated bar states and green being agency model states, do not infer from that there is any uniformity to these models. There is, if you look at from integrated bar to integrated bar, you will find that it is very heterogeneous. It's always apples and oranges, no matter what two states you're looking at. And the same is somewhat true of the agency models. There has never been, here's the model of an integrated bar, or here's the model of the agency. So whenever you look at an individual jurisdiction, bear in mind that might look quite different from how another jurisdiction is doing it.
Thank you very much for that information. Okay, not seeing any other hands. I suppose technically we should, and I should entertain, since we're ahead of schedule, I think technically I have to entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I'll second that.
Okay. So I do have a motion and a second to adjourn this meeting. Any further discussion? We'll just do it with a show of hands. All those in favor of adjourning, go ahead and raise your virtual hand or real hand. Executive Director Nevitt, are you doing the count for me? Executive Director says it's unanimous, but I'll see if there's anybody who's opposed to adjourning by raising either your real or virtual hand. Some people still have hands up from the prior vote. Gotta get your hands down unless you want to vote no. Nobody's voting no. Look at that. Anybody abstaining? No? Okay, thanks so very much, everybody. Don't forget when our next meeting is for this group. It is March 5th here in Seattle. We are adjourned.